Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible journey of one of the world's most influential books, tracking it from ancient, fragile scrolls all the way to modern artificial intelligence. And to help us wrap our heads around it, we're going to use an analogy. Think of it all like a giant tree. We'll start at the ancient roots, move up the digital trunk, and then use an AI microscope to examine the leaves.
So you've got these two extremes, right? On one side, you have these priceless, unbelievably fragile manuscripts, handwritten well over 1,600 years ago. And on the other, you have the complex algorithms of modern AI built to process language on a massive, massive scale.
So what happens when you smash these two worlds together? Well, this unlikely combination is opening up completely new ways to understand history, language, and even faith. It's starting to uncover patterns and sentiments that have been hidden inside the text for centuries. So let's get into it. We'll kick things off with the sacred scripts themselves and how they were preserved. Then we'll see how the Bible went digital. After that, we'll look at a really fascinating AI analysis of a sermon. And finally, we'll peek into the future of faith and technology. All right, Section 1, Sacred Scripts, Modern Code.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, Preserving Ancient Parchment. To really get this, we have to go back to the beginning. You could almost call it the original source code.
I mean, the scale we're talking about here is just mind-boggling. These are texts that have somehow survived for millennia, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, written even before the Common Era. They're a direct physical link to the ancient world.
Take the Codex Sinaiticus. This thing is a titan of ancient history, one of the oldest, most complete books to survive from antiquity. And what's happening now is just so cool. Institutions like the British Library and St. Catherine's Monastery are working together to digitally reunite its pages, which have been scattered for centuries. For the first time, anyone can see it. And it's the same story with the Dead Sea Scrolls. Thanks to digitization, anyone with an internet connection, you, me, anyone, can explore the oldest biblical manuscripts ever found. These texts, discovered back in 1947, are centuries older than other versions, and they give us this incredible window into the past.
Okay, so let's bring back that tree analogy. These ancient physical manuscripts, the codex, the scrolls, they are the deep hidden roots of our tree. They're the original source material that everything else grew from.
Section 3, the Bible goes digital. This is where access just explodes. Let's talk numbers for a second, because this is just staggering. With over 6 billion copies sold, it is by far the most widely distributed book in human history. And the digital revolution just poured gasoline on that fire. So then you have platforms like BibleGateway.com popping up, and suddenly, boom, over 150 different versions in 50 languages are available to anyone. But it went deeper than just reading. We got these incredible tools, like interlinear Bibles, that put the original Greek and Hebrew right next to the English, letting regular people and scholars see exactly how the sausage gets made, translation-wise. So, continuing our analogy, if the manuscripts are the roots, what are these digital platforms? Well, they're the trunk of the tree, visible, strong, accessible, and connecting those deep roots to a much, much wider world. All right. Now we get to the really wild part. Seriously, what happens when you let a super powerful artificial intelligence read one of the most famous passages in all of history? A recent study did exactly that. Researchers took a large language model, that's basically an AI trained to understand language like a human, and had it analyze the Sermon on the Mount. They fed it 5 totally different English translations, from the old school King James to the modern NIV, just to see what it would find. And what it found was pretty interesting. The AI could actually measure the emotional vibe of the text. It found that chapter 6, which is all about stuff like prayer and trust, had a really high positive feeling. But chapter 7, with its tough warnings about hypocrisy, that trended way more negative. And this is a great visual for the big picture, right? When you zoom out, the AI basically said, hey, the core feelings driving this sermon are optimism and empathy. It's like it's mapping the emotional DNA of the text. But then the AI ran into something it didn't quite get. It happened when it hit metaphorical passages. Like this super famous one about the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, while you've got a whole plank in your own. So what did the AI classify this as? It said, joking. Yeah, you heard that right, joking. Now hold on, the researchers are clear. This doesn't mean the text is a punchline. What they think is happening is that the AI is picking up on a non-literal, almost humorous tone used to kind of ease the tension of a really serious spiritual point. It's a totally unexpected insight.
And this brings our tree analogy full circle. The AI is like a high-powered microscope that's focused on the tree's leaves. It's not just reading the words on the surface, it's analyzing their chemical composition to understand the text's mood in a completely new way.
All right, let's land this plane. Section 5, the future of faith. So what does all this mean, and where do we go from here? Look, this tech is incredibly powerful, but it's not perfect. It's got blind spots. As we saw, it can get confused by metaphors. And a big reason why is that these AIs are often trained on really modern, unrelated data. We're talking things like COVID-19 tweets, which can totally skew how it understands ancient concepts. It still lacks that deep historical context.
But the good news is, researchers are already on it. The next steps are to actually teach the AI how to spot metaphors, to have it skip the English translations and analyze the original Greek and Aramaic directly, and even to compare its findings with other major sacred texts from around the world. At the end of the day, what we're building here is like a modern-day Rosetta Stone, helping us translate not just language but meaning across thousands of years. And that leaves us with a huge question. As these tools get more and more powerful, how are they going to change our relationship with ancient wisdom?